Welcome Reds. Manchester United boss Ruben Amorin simply shocked all United fans. How far Manchester United are from actually being their worst ever Premier League team. Ruben Amorin has stated his Manchester United side might be the worst team in the club's 147-year history, and the statistics suggest they are on course for their worst season in the Premier League era. Manchester United boss Ruben Amorin admitted his side are perhaps the worst team in the club's history following their 3-1 defeat to Brighton at Old Trafford. In the last 10 games in Premier League, we won 2, Amorin said. Imagine what this is for a fan of Manchester United. Imagine what this is for me. We are getting a new coach who is losing more than the last coach. I have full knowledge of that. We are the worst team maybe in the history of Manchester United. I know you media want headlines, but I am saying that because we have to acknowledge that and to change that. Here you go, your headlines. I knew that was going to be hard to put a completely new idea in the moment, but when you lose games and don't win 3 games in a row, it becomes really hard. Everybody here is underperforming, and we have to accept that. It is unacceptable to lose so many games. The opponents are better than us in many details. We cannot be consistent, and I'm not helping my players in the moment. You have to acknowledge we are in a very difficult situation with all the bad records, as losing games at home, losing games in the Premier League. So how bad have United actually been this season? Well, they are on course to break last season's record for the lowest ever Premier League finish, with the Red Devils currently sat 13th. They are also on course to break a number of other records from the Premier League era, including their lowest ever points tally, most defeats in a season, and fewest goals scored. If United's current points per game ratio continues, they will finish with just 45 and beat their previous worst tally of 58 during the 2021-22 season. Amorim has admitted his side are perhaps the worst team in United's history. They have already suffered 10 defeats, the earliest, into a league campaign that they have hit double figures for losses since the 1989-90 campaign, and look set to surpass the 14 defeats they suffered under Erik ten Hag last season. They have also mustered just 27 goals in 22 games, meaning they are on course to break their record for the fewest goals scored in a season, having found the back of the net just 49 times under Louis van Gaal in the 2015-16 campaign. Although it may be a slight exaggeration to suggest Amorim's team are the worst United side in their 147-year history, they are set to become the worst United side in the Premier League era unless things drastically improve over the next few months. Ruben Amorin has spoken about Marcus Rashford's future. Ruben Amorin points finger at Marcus Rashford as Man United transfer saga turns ugly. Ruben Amorin has offered an update on Marcus Rashford's future following Manchester United's 3-1 defeat to Brighton, with the Red Devils boss suggesting his absence is best for the team. Manchester United boss Ruben Amorin says Marcus Rashford's ongoing absence is his choice. Rashford has not featured in United's last 9 games across all competitions, and the forward is expected to leave the club this month, having publicly stated that he is ready for a new challenge. Following United's 3-1 defeat to Brighton on Sunday, Amorin was asked about Rashford's absence and insisted he is not going to put out a player I don't believe is the best for the team. Amorin said, "It is his choice not to play. I don't want to focus on this bad moment because in the games we lost, Rashford is not here. I don't want to put this moment on Rashford. Rashford is out of this moment because he is not playing. No matter what, I am not going to put out a player I don't believe is the best for the team." The likes of AC Milan, Borussia Dortmund, and Juventus are interested in signing Rashford on loan this month, with it highly unlikely United will see their £40 million asking price met. Amorim is keen to bring in some reinforcements, having admitted his side are perhaps the worst team in United's history. In the last 10 games in Premier League, we won 2, the Portuguese said. Imagine what this is for a fan of Manchester United. Imagine what this is for me. We are getting a new coach who is losing more than the last coach. I have full knowledge of that. We are the worst team maybe in the history of Manchester United. Rashford looks set to leave United this month. I know you media want headlines, but I am saying that because we have to acknowledge that and to change that. Here you go, your headlines. I knew that was going to be hard to put a completely new idea in the moment. But when you lose games and don't win 3 games in a row, it becomes really hard. Everybody here is underperforming and we have to accept that. It is unacceptable to lose so many games. The opponents are better than us in many details. We cannot be consistent, and I'm not helping my players in the moment. You have to acknowledge we are in a very difficult situation, with all the bad records, as losing games at home, losing games in the Premier League. I know we can succeed, but I am not naive. We need to survive this moment, but I am not going to change, no matter what. Antony is man up to poster boy for all the wrong reasons, as Paul Scholes' verdict rings true. Antony is expected to be given the green light by Manchester United to head out on loan during the January transfer window, and his long-term future at Old Trafford is also in doubt. It all started so well, and perhaps that's the most peculiar thing about the curious case of Antony and Manchester United. The 24-year-old attacker hit the ground running after his blockbuster transfer from Ajax, scoring in each of his first 3 Premier League matches. But the goals quickly dried up. The dancing feet that went viral on social media in the build-up to his move became erratic and cumbersome. It was clear as early as the second half of the 2022-23 season that the Brazilian was not the transformative £85 million signing that he had been billed as just months earlier. Nothing has changed over the last 2 years. And despite the player's admirable stance in recent transfer windows of wanting to stay and fight for his place, it seems mercifully that he will get some respite in the coming months on loan at Real Betis. Rehabilitation is desperately needed for a player who caught light in the Eredivisie under Erik ten Hag, but wilted under the bright lights of the Premier League, amassing just 17 goal contributions across his 2.5 seasons playing in red. And when you strip away the cheap tricks, the showman that bamboozled defenders in Holland has largely been predictable and ineffective on the ball for United. Antony was called out by United legend Paul Scholes for his showboating during his debut season, with the former midfielder branding him a one-trick pony. It was deemed brutal at the time. I love a little bit of showboating and entertainment, but at least get the pass right, Scholes said back in October in the aftermath of United's win against Sheriff Tiraspol in the Europa League. This country, any country, even Brazil, they don't want to see that, do they? I like to see skills and entertainment. I just don't think it's skill or entertainment. It's just being a clown. It's more about what we haven't seen from Antony, though, which is the issue. If we're being blunt, the reason he has failed to replicate his Eredivisie form on these shores is, quite simply, the gulf in class between his old home and the Premier League. Ten Hag himself and some of his other signings are further proof of that. And while he's far from the only player who has failed to live up to expectations at Old Trafford in recent years, Antony has become the poster boy of the club's shoddy recruitment strategy due to that inflated transfer fee. It has come as no surprise to see Antony lurch down the Old Trafford pecking order over the last 18 months. The writing was on the wall when Alejandro Garnacho surpassed him under Ten Hag, who was so often his biggest advocate. The subsequent emergence of Ahmad was seen by many as the death knell on Antony's Manchester United career, particularly given his only goal contributions until mid-March of last season were registered against Newport County of League Two in the FA Cup. His move to La Liga is a straight loan, but option or not, it's hard to see any way back for him under Ruben Amorin. The Portuguese coach does not operate with orthodox widemen, though some may argue Antony's diligent work off the ball could lend himself well to the wingback role, but Antony has had his chances. Even Ten Hag seemed to give up on him in the end. And if could do that after making him a star at Ajax, then there's no reason for Ineos or Amorim to persevere with him. A permanent parting of the ways seems like a no-brainer. Yes, that will involve financial pain for all involved, but a clean break would do all parties a favor, and maybe that's worth paying for.